Welcome to the ArtPeak show. We are an illustration and animation studio creating art in different styles. We've worked on projects for the BBC, Netflix, and many more. And on this show, we are interviewing people from all walks of life to bring valuable knowledge to artists of all kinds. If you would like to work with us, head over to our website at www.studioartpeak.com and contact us. Enjoy the show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the ArtPeak Show. Today, our guest is Brandon Foster. He is a children's comic book author with over 6 years of writing experience. Brandon is an award winning author of a family themed comic book series, I Am a Star and What Do You Love, which are family based and Christian based theme book series that teaches moral lessons the whole family can learn from. You can find out more about him in the link in the description. Enjoy the show.
Again, Brandon, thank you so much for coming on to the Art Pick Show. It is great to have you. So I just want, because this is our first time, I think it's a great time to just introduce ourselves anyway. Tell me a little bit about how you got into comics, because it's comic books that you're primarily specializing in at the moment, right?
Right, yes. Primarily comic books with some future dabblings and probably children's style books as well.
Okay.
Yeah. I've been into comics for about 20 years at least. Yeah. Looked at them when I was when I was a kid. I used to have collections of all the Marvel stuff, mostly X-Men. X-Men was my favorite. So I
Really?
had all of those, boxes and boxes of them growing up.
Who's your favorite
And
character?
of course, Wolverine. Wolverine is normally like the go-to one. Yeah.
Same with me.
hmm
Until
Everybody, who's
Black
the
Panther
best?
came out.
Yes. Yes. I knew about yeah. So Wolverine was the favorite. Then Black Panther came out. So then you had Black Panther Storm. I was a little Bishop, but he still wasn't as cool as Wolverine or Black
Bishop.
Panther. Yeah, Bishop. I don't know. I liked he was a cool one.
Is it guy with a metal face?
That's Cable. Well, no, not metal face. He had like the eye. Bishop was the
Is
brother that
Bishop?
has the M. He
Oh,
has the M on his eye, M over his eye.
yes. I
Yeah. He
remember
had
now. Yeah.
the long like Jerry Curl like hair.
Yeah.
That's what made him kind of funny. Yeah, it was, you was thinking him as like a mutant pimp.
Oh
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah, yeah. But I've loved comic books for a long, long time.
Okay. Okay. So you used to collect them, right?
hmm
I think we're getting to the lake again.
Uh, okay. Let me see.
Hold on a second. Cool. All right, Brandon, you were telling us you used to collect comic books um since you were young, is that right?
Yes,
Okay.
all the X-Men's. It's funny. I didn't really know too much about DC until I got a little older.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, I don't know I don't know. Maybe it's just a place I went where they maybe were more DC focused. Because back then you had to go to bookstores, and it wasn't as like it is now. Like I can just go online and like type something up and they'll send it. But then it was more comic book stores, or you had a couple comic books at bookstores because big main comic book stores didn't come up. There weren't that many in where I was at growing up. So I
Mm,
had to go mostly to bookstores, and their comic selection wasn't always the best.
right.
So that's probably why I lean more, even with the cinematic stuff, I lean more Marvel than DC because that's just my foundation was that growing up.
Yeah. I'm quite the same. although I knew about Superman when I was younger, and in fact, probably one of the first few comic books that I had was of Superman doing something Superman-y. But my favorite characters, comic book characters, were always Marvel characters. Um, I remember having to save up my lunch money just so that I could get the comic books. So I was pretty impressed.
Yeah.
That's cool. So what inspired you then to make your own comic book?
Well, I had started to take up writing
Okay.
around when the idea to do the books, because I had originally wanted to do children's style books. But since comics were like always my background, I was like, why not try a family themed comic instead of like your typical go-to action and stuff like that?
Mm.
So that's kind of what decided to make me do it. So I wanted to do something different.
Mm. Okay. Tell us a little bit more about the story that you eventually wrote.
Yeah, so it's the Family Time series. The characters are based off of me and my wife, but instead of my kids, because when I originally came up with the idea, I didn't have any kids,
Mm.
so I based it off of my nieces and nephews.
Mm.
So all of them are in there with their names, and it was like I think they call it slice of life, where you kind of take everyday situations and try to put a spin on it to make it enjoyable and educational.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how everything came together.
How did your nieces feel about you having them
Well, of course, everybody
in your
wanted
comic
input
book?
on everybody wanted input on how they looked. So
Okay.
one of my nieces would only send me her prettiest pictures with the best hairstyle and the best outfits and everything like that. And that was what I used for my second one. That was the cover of it is a outfit that I believe she was modeling in at a church function.
Mm.
So that was how the cover for the second one came up. And the first one, my niece, that was my younger niece is the main character for the first one. And I got the cover for that one from my illustrator because I just liked one of her because my illustrator does comics as well.
Yeah.
And she had a cover that I really liked and she did a variation of it for me.
Yeah. Cool. How did you meet your illustrator or find your illustrator?
That was the hardest part. I had checked a whole bunch of different websites. Um, Behance, I think, was one of them, and there were some other ones. And it was just kind of, I even went through agents too, and that was
Wow.
like, that's how desperate I was. But I didn't know it was so much more expensive with an agent. My goodness. But
Mm.
then I finally met my illustrator on one of the other ones. I forget because it's been so long. But she got back to me. She was one of the ones that responded the quickest. We agreed, but we talked, we bounced ideas back and forth with each other and everything. And I saw her works, and it was just like it was the perfect match.
Yeah. How long did it take you to find her?
A year.
Wow.
Took like a year. Yeah, yeah. It
You
was.
must you must have had a very specific thing you're looking for.
Right. It was a very specific art style. Like if
Yeah.
you look at them, because I wanted to not be too heavily reliant on solely dialogue. That I wanted like an atmospheric feel to it, to where you look at it, you look at the pictures, and the pictures talk to you as well.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah. So that was a big thing, and that is that has been when the people that have got it and looked at it, they've told me like how even I've had I had reviews done on it, and a lot of, one of the things across was like how the art itself speaks to you as well.
Mm, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. You said you started this whole comic because you wanted to get back into writing, or you had decided to go into writing. Have you always written stuff, or how did you get interested in writing in the first place?
No, I actually, it's funny. English was one of the few the like the course I did the worst in school. So the
Really?
idea of me, yeah, that was the funniest thing. Like the idea of writing was never like something I actually was that good at. But I also never really applied myself because I wasn't given something to do that I was interested in. Cause like there's a difference between writing something that you feel strong about as opposed to just being told to write a research paper on some old president or something like that. So once I
Mm,
just started, I won't say it's kind of like journaling, where you just start getting ideas and you start writing stuff down, and then you kind of discover a new passion that's like, yeah, I actually enjoy this, and you want to grow on it and expand on it.
yeah, yeah. It's kind of how I feel about drawing myself. If you gave me a brief, even though I work professionally, if you gave me a brief, I can do the work a lot faster than if I had to do the job for myself. I'll lie you, like if I give myself a brief. Um, but that's because I tend to just spend a lot more time, like trying to find the quote unquote perfect execution for the idea that I have or the thing I want to communicate. But I do
Right.
enjoy the process because, yeah, as I say, if you love the process, I think you can last. So, yeah,
Hmm.
that's cool. So, you said you have two series of your book at the moment currently, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, are you planning to do another series soon?
What? Yes. The short answer is yes. I'm trying out also doing another form where I'm going to do action adventure, something to kind of challenge myself to test my writing as far as doing something beyond like family themed stuff. So I'm working on that project now, and then after that's finished, I'm going back to my other series. So I'm branching out a little bit and testing to see how that goes.
Mm, that sounds cool. How do you develop yourself as a writer? Like, what do you use to develop yourself?
Practice, and
More
trying
practice.
to see who I kind of mirror, like to see what other people write like me, and then to go from there and take on specific things like better. Do I want to probably try to better my character development, better the words used, verbiage, the amount of words used. So
Mm,
those are like the things that I try to work on as I do it. And a lot of that comes from, or I get a lot of help with that when you get a lot of beta readers. So before it's like fully done, you get people. I know I have a friend that's been working in the comic industry for over a decade, and he helps with a lot of stuff where he asks the questions that I'm not aware of or know to ask myself when
mm,
doing writing. So it's like, so yeah, like where do you plan to take the story? Why did you put this part here and stuff like that? And a lot of that helps to hone my craft.
Mm. That sounds awesome. Sounds like you have a really good team of people that can give you useful feedback to work with.
Yeah. So what about you as an illustrator? How do you determine if you've reached the best of where you are before you go to another level or to think of another level?
Um, how do I feel? How do I think I've reached the level I want to be at? Um, let's see. I don't think of it as levels, but there are some artists, for example, that I really like their work. So if I see them doing particular things, then I would want to emulate that. The only problem with me at the minute is that once I say I do a piece and I like the way some artists create traditionally looking digital paintings that are done either on Photoshop or any of those softwares, but they make the artwork look like it was an oil painting or a watercolor painting. So if I find an artist that does that really well, I'll try and do it. And maybe I will create a piece that actually captures the essence of what I'm trying to achieve through this style. It's the only thing is, instead of me doing another piece until I solidify what I've learned in terms of how to actually achieve that style consistently, I'll just move on to something else. And that's because I just lose interest almost. But in order to grow, man, discipline is so important. And so that's something that I'm beginning to learn. And I know that those kinds of qualities will help me to get to the levels that I want to be. But I think, I don't know, like, yeah, that's why I said I don't think of it as levels. I think of it more in terms of, I don't know how to put it, but it's like there is a particular aspect of something that I like, and I will only focus on that aspect and then I'll move on. But it's not going to be an all-encompassing level. Like, for
Mm-hmm.
example, I am really practicing animation now. So that's another thing in of itself. And it's not um I can't put it on the same level of my art or my drawing skills as a whole, but I still see myself, generally speaking, as an artist. I just happen to be able to use different mediums. And so as long as I am working on the other skills like discipline, then I think maybe that's something I can classify as a level, I guess, like discipline and hard work, because you need that, man. We need that to
Absolutely.
grow.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Discipline, like you said, is real important.
yeah, absolutely. In my day job, I recently they did a class on the growth mindset and the fixed mindset. And the concept of the growth and fixed mindset is something that I have looked into before and heard about. But the way they explained it this time during the training was just so practical. Like they talked about some of the things that would trigger someone to sort of give up early, or to make them something that might trigger them to think, oh, they can't actually do it. So, those kinds of things that I've actually felt before. And I found that to be very helpful because I see myself as somebody who works really, really hard. But then there are some things that hinder my ability to work even harder that I know I can. So, but that's just something to discipline levels. So I think I am growing in that area, but we'll continue to grow always. So, have you heard much
Okay.
about the growth mindset?
No, I was gonna ask you like what is there a way you could like describe it?
Okay. Think of it as perspective. So say there's a problem. There are two people, or there are two different lenses of looking at the problem. You either have a growth mindset about the problem, or you have a fixed mindset about the problem. The growth mindset, okay, I know I can't do this thing right now, or I don't have the skill set to do it right now. Here's what I'm going to do to get the skill sets that I need, to overcome this problem. That's the growth mindset. The growth mindset believes and understands and accepts that there's a time when you will suck at something, but then they understand that if you put the time in to learn what you need to learn, but then also understand that it takes time to learn, and they have the patience as well to be patient with themselves to say, okay, it's going to take me some time to learn this stuff. So I won't give up as a result, because I know that if I continue to put myself into it, then I'll get better over time. Whereas the fixed mindset will look at the situation and say, I wasn't born with this thing, so I don't think this is for me. Like, it's a completely different sort of mindset. It's very much, I can't do this, so I'm not even going to try, or I might try, but this is my first initial efforts aren't working, so I don't think I'm going to ever be good at it. Another example could be, oh, this person seems to be learning it faster than I am, so I must be terrible at this stuff, so I'm not going to try. That's the thinking of
Mm.
the fixed mindset, and that hinders growth a lot. So one of the triggers for me in this class that I shared with the guy who was teaching the class was putting in a lot of effort into something initially, and then seeing that there is no result, and then just giving up, because I'm like, I've put in so much effort in this, but there is no result. So it means that I'm not good at it. So I'm just going to do something else.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
it was good to learn that. Like, no, actually, some things might take time, and some things might not take me more time than it usually does, and that's okay too. So,
Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense. Like if you're like you were saying, like you're trying something, you're not getting the results. Like be it like with me, if I write something and it's not received the way I think it is, then you could just be like, okay, well that's it. I'm done with that, and I'll never do it again. Instead of just continuing to refine the craft and to try to be better at it.
hmm,
So that's pretty good. That's really good.
yeah, there's a whole series TED talk about the growth mindset. It's pretty cool. I think it has a lot to do with neuroplasticity. And, but yeah, that's another topic. Um,
Yeah.
Brandon, can you tell us a little bit about uh, your marketing strategy? You don't have to give away all the secrets, but more like, how did you go about it? Did you have any experience in this before you even started doing publishing your own comic books, or did you had to learn on the way? And if so, how did you learn? And answer this question with the view of the audience is a very new sort of person in the field of comics, and is thinking, how am I going to market my book? So, well, how did you do it, Brandon?
Well, it's funny. So now going back to the growth and fixed mindset,
Mhm.
originally it was fixed because I tried it and it wasn't getting anything because I didn't know what I was doing. So I was like, I was like, I must really be bad at this. So this is just something I'm just gonna make, as opposed to something of a passion. Is like, you know what, maybe I just do it as like a part-time recreational hobby.
Mhm.
But so I did it, and it was on and off for a little bit, but then came back to it, and I was like, I'm gonna try a different mindset, which based off what you said is the growth mindset, where I'm gonna work at it and try and put like real effort and energy and everything. I mean, pretty much everything into it.
Mhm.
So realizing that I wasn't very good at marketing, I then sought out people that I thought that looked for people to be better. And that's how I met our mutual friend Rachel, and ended up taking one of her classes on marketing, and that helped a lot. And now I won't say that wasn't enough, but I'll say that since social media has changed since then, because her stuff was, ads, um, boosting posts, looking for keywords. You got to get your keywords, your demographics. Your you have to market from the mindset of your reader, your ideal reader. Because a lot of marketing, if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to market it like you're doing it to yourself. But the hardest thing you can do is try to figure out who is your ideal reader. What do they like? What keywords, hashtags do they use? And what pops to them? Even the colors of your posts. Like, you could just look at it from your point of view. Let's say your favorite color is blue, but maybe your ideal reader's favorite color is orange. So if you're putting everything out blue, you're getting nothing, as opposed, because you're thinking of it from your point of view, not from their point of view. And those are like some of the small changes that you can make. But now that everything is like gone to reels, like Instagram reels and TikToks and all that stuff, so now it's a new layer that I'm having to learn to put on top of some of the stuff I've already learned. So continuing to grow. So I'll say, well, like stuff with like, you might think that, excuse me, you've written it, it's great, it's going to sell. Like, that's not really the case. If you're doing everything on your own, like, it's a nonstop learning experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. What is Rachel's course code?
It was like a year ago. I have to look it up, unfortunately. But you can find her at Rachel Beckles. She has it.
Oh,
I want to
Rachel.
say, yeah, Rachel. Yeah,
Gotcha.
I forget the name of her course. She's gonna probably be mad. But yeah, it would cover like all the basic and advanced stuff. Even she even went on how to sell on Amazon. She covers everything. It
Yeah.
was like a really good help.
How did you and Rachel meet?
Hashtags, looking through hashtags.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because yeah, putting out hashtags and like, because once you start marketing, you have your hashtags and all of that stuff. So you start. This is also in her class, where you start looking through the hashtags that you're putting out, and you see what other people are doing, what other people have the same thing in common, and you can follow them. So that's how we did. We followed her like that, and then she followed back, and we interacted, and it was like, it's following them so you can not only meet other creatives, but you can also meet potential customers and followers, where you're like, the main thing with everything is activity or engagement. I guess engagement is a better word, where you're engaging on other people's posts. And that's how, like, oh, I saw this person post on this person's post that I like, and that person's post. So I'm going to I'm going to follow them as well. So that way you build up more and more people through interactions, and it becomes like a communal feeling because, hey, I talked to them over there about this, I talked to them about that, and it just kind of grows from there.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Like, yeah, I can't remember how I met Rachel, but yeah, I'm sure it was definitely online. So yeah, that's cool. That's cool. All right. Okay, I'm gonna wrap it up with one final question, Brandon. Since how long have you been doing the publishing thing now? 2 years?
Yes.
Okay. So if you were to go back in time and kind of give yourself or give somebody like a warning. No, warning sounds negative, but give somebody a piece of advice about something they should pay attention to when they're just starting out and make sure that they get right, what would that be?
The best thing to tell a new person I told myself would probably be the growth mindset. Keep keep refining. Don't think that because you just put out one thing that is gonna instantly blow up. While there are people like that, the main thing is that you're gonna have to put in work and effort. Not to be disappointed when you don't get instant gratification. You don't get those immediate results. To focus on your skill set and to continuously try to refine it. To always be trying to better yourself throughout the whole process. And be good with your money. Be careful what you invest money in. Because when I first started, I was doing promotions. And when you
Yeah.
do that, you put yourself out there to a lot of people that just say, hey, give me $200 and I'll put your stuff in front of my millions of followers. And then you look at the page and it's like, yeah, they got millions and millions of followers and all that stuff, but it's just like it's overseas in India. And it's just like, yeah, you've put it in front of a lot of people that's not gonna buy it, and you just kind of been swindled out of hundreds of dollars.
Mm.
So yeah, so be careful who you're promoting with and who you're entrusting your resources with and putting money behind.
Mm. All right, Brandon, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. There's a lot of nuggets in the things that you've shared here today. So thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. I had a lot of fun.
Awesome.